Y&R the Restless Spoilers reveal secret twin war. Alan may have to find a way to get Martin into a mental hospital. His mind seems to be unstable. As the story between Alan and Martin Laurent begins to unfold, it has kept viewers glued to the screen. The details surrounding the balcony fight, the life and death of a person, and the dark secrets behind the characters have created a perfect combination of drama and tension. Although the audience has witnessed many complicated situations in the world of the young and the restless, the incident involving Alan and Martin really takes the story to a new level. The relationship between the two, long hidden, gradually opens up horrifying secrets and endless battles of wits. The original story, the balcony incident and the fateful change, it all started with a painful accident. Martin and Alan wrestled with each other on the balcony, and then both fell down. One of them died. This was an incredible event, a huge shock to the insiders and the audience who watched every episode. However, what people did not know was that in that moment, a sophisticated role-switching happened. Many people thought that, while the two brothers fell, Martin quickly switched clothes with Alan. But was that really the case? While everything seemed to have ended with the death of one person, did Alan actually become Martin in a psychotic state caused by grief and Martin's attack? The development of the situation, Alan or Martin? In the following days, Ashley began to experience serious psychological disturbances. She gradually realized that she was facing dissociative identity disorder, DID. Not only did the condition cause her to fall into states of confusion, it also raised doubts about events she could not remember clearly. She began to feel that she was no longer in control of what was happening in her mind. During a therapy session with Alan, Ashley realized that something was wrong. She had talked about the events in Paris and what she thought was a painful encounter with Tucker McCall. However, Alan, who was cold and could not remember the conversation, simply assumed that she was confused with Martin. Alan did not know that it was Martin, who had changed himself to impersonate him, that Ashley had met. This opened up a big question: was Alan really Alan, or had he unconsciously become Martin? Had grief and loss caused him to fall into a state of mind that he could not control? Alan and Martin, the endless battle of minds. The story becomes even more complicated when Alan reveals a truth that turns his whole world upside down. Alan has a twin brother. This brings to light a terrifying possibility: Martin has actually kidnapped Alan and replaced him in the Laurent family's life. However, this is not simply a replacement. Martin has used this change to prove that he is better, superior to Alan in every way. Martin, jealous and obsessed with Alan's existence, uses clever tactics to deceive everyone. He not only impersonates his twin brother but also controls Alan's life from the shadows. Martin's appearance makes Alan unable to remember the important conversation with Ashley and continues to live in the false world that Martin has painstakingly built. Emotional crisis and jealousy. In a dramatic turn of events, Martin takes a dangerous step. He kidnaps Alan not only to replace him but also to carry out his own plans. Martin's jealousy grows as he sees that Alan not only has a loving family but also the fulfilling life he has always dreamed of. The confrontations between the two brothers are not only physical but also mental, a battle of jealousy and obsession. Meanwhile, Ashley slowly uncovers the terrible truth about Alan and Martin's relationship. Despite her moments of doubt and self-doubt, Ashley continues to search for the truth. She realizes that she is not only dealing with painful memories from the past, but also with current situations that threaten everything she has worked so hard to build. Ashley must make difficult decisions, when everything she knows may be changed by the very people she trusts. The tension in Alan and Martin's relationship has reached a boiling point. Secrets seem to be coming out, but can Alan and Ashley escape Martin's control? Can Martin really keep his plan going, or will something happen to make everything fall apart? The battle between the twins will continue, and there are sure to be more surprises to come. The unrevealed truths will continue to push the story further, leaving viewers unable to predict what will happen. A fierce battle awaits, and the final truth will leave everyone stunned. The Laurent family's life has always been full of secrets and complex relationships, but recent events have brought those secrets to light in an unexpected way. Martin, a schemer and obsessive, has caused a lot of chaos in the Laurent family's life by impersonating his brother, Alan. Not only does he deceive everyone, but he also pushes the story to a tense climax when an inevitable confrontation between the two twins erupts. These developments keep viewers glued to the screen, making everything surprising and dramatic. The assault and the impersonation. It all started at a bar where Ashley, who had painful memories of past events, believed she met Alan. While she was searching for answers to her personal problems, she was unaware that the person she thought was Alan was actually Martin, a clever impersonator of her brother. Martin, with his scheme, not only approached Ashley but also led her into a dangerous game when he kidnapped Alan and locked him in a bathroom at the bar. When the events seemed to be under control, Alan, who was locked in the bathroom, decided not to let things go easily. With determination and constant resistance, Alan managed to escape from the bathroom and immediately started searching for Martin and Ashley. He knew that a confrontation between him and Martin was inevitable, and this time, he would not let the other person have the opportunity to continue to deceive and threaten his family. Alan finds Martin and Ashley, and the three of them face each other in a tense situation. Martin, driven by madness and obsession, is unwilling to let go. He holds Ashley hostage, threatening Alan that if he does not cooperate, things will get worse. But Alan, determined to protect his family, cannot bear to see the woman he loves fall into the hands of this evil man. "Martin, don't do this. Get help, I can help you, but don't hurt Ashley," Alan urges, trying to convince his brother to give up his madness. But Martin, consumed by jealousy and anger, does not listen. He only wants Alan to suffer the same pain he has been through for a long time. These negative emotions make Martin unable to control himself, and a fierce argument breaks out between the twins. The climax of this confrontation was when Martin exploded in rage, causing both brothers to fall off the balcony in a moment of chaos. The scene of the two brothers falling from the balcony was truly unbelievable. Everything happened so fast and suddenly, leaving both Ashley and the witnesses stunned. During the collision, Alan broke his arm, but he still survived. On the contrary, Martin, who acted in anger, could not escape his fate. After the strong collision, Martin died immediately, leaving a terrifying silence at the scene. Alan, despite being seriously injured, could not stop thinking about what had happened. Not only did he lose the brother he once loved, but he also had to face the price of hatred and obsession. In a short moment, the life and death of the two twins were decided, and Alan had to live with the pain of that loss. This event not only shocked the Loran family but also left deep psychological scars for Ashley and Alan. For Alan, the pain came not only from losing his twin brother, but also from the realization that Martin, despite his bloody crimes, was a part of himself. The guilt and responsibility weighed heavily on Alan, forcing him to rethink everything he had done and how he had treated Martin throughout the years. Ashley, who had been caught up in a dangerous psychological game, could not escape the effects of this incident. She began to doubt her own safety and her role in this bloody story. Despite her painful moments, Ashley was determined to stand firm and help Alan through this difficult period. Expanding the story, what secrets and what lies ahead? Alan's life after this horrific event will certainly never be the same. His relationship with Ashley will be tested constantly. Will Alan be able to recover from this painful loss and continue to take control of his life, or will he be haunted by the past and the appearance of Martin forever? The story of hatred, love and heartache never ceases to be dramatic. For viewers of The Young and the Restless, this is one of the most surprising and suspenseful episodes in recent times. Questions about truth, love and forgiveness will continue to haunt the characters in this story, and no one can predict what will happen next. Will Alan find comfort in Ashley's love, or will another ghost appear, continuing to haunt the Loran family? The relationship between Alan and Martin Loran has always been haunted by dark secrets and painful events. But no one could have expected that the tragedy of the Loran family would end in a way that no one could have imagined. After Martin's death, a huge burden fell on Alan's shoulders, who had to face the loss of his brother in a brutal struggle. Despite his grief, Alan could not help but feel relieved that Martin, with his evil schemes, would no longer be able to threaten anyone. However, this relief was not enough to hide the guilt and obsession that Alan had to carry with him for the rest of his life. Martin's death, truth and guilt after Martin's death, Alan faced the undeniable truth: his brother was dead, and a part of him was buried with his departure. Despite Martin's attacks, lies, and chaos, his death left a scar on Alan's mind. Part of him still felt the weight of knowing that he couldn't save Martin, even from the destruction Martin had created. The sight of Martin's body lying untouched on the street haunted Alan. He knew that Martin's body would have to lie there until someone came to collect it, and there was no denying the guilt he felt. Everything in Alan's life had changed, and despite his desire to start over, the memories of Martin and his death still haunted him. Martin's death was not only the end of the plot he had woven, but also the beginning of the mental confrontations that Alan would have to face alone. While Alan struggled with his grief, Ashley faced another battle. After the traumatic events that happened in Paris, she decided to stay in order to receive treatment for her dissociative identity disorder, DID. Despite the long days of confusion and trauma, Ashley finally found peace and recovered from her deep psychological trauma. Tracy, who had always stood by Ashley during her difficult times, also decided to stay in Paris. The relationship between the two grew stronger, with Tracy not only being a friend but also a strong spiritual support for Ashley in her recovery journey. While Ashley found her own healing, Tracy also faced her own challenges, but she was always ready to support her friend through any difficulties. Alan and Tracy got engaged in a sweet moment, bringing hope for their future. Although Alan has not completely overcome his grief and obsession with Martin, his love for Tracy is a ray of light that helps him regain his faith in life. Tracy, with her patience and love, helps Alan through the most difficult times, and at the same time inspires in him a belief that life can go on, even if it will never be the same. Although Alan tries to move on, the past does not let him go. Things get more complicated when shocking news spreads throughout the city. Martin, although dead, is still part of his plot. Two famous women, Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman, have been kidnapped by a mysterious person and imprisoned in an abandoned psychiatric facility. Here, the kidnapper not only wants revenge but also conducts a bizarre psychological experiment, causing both women to face dangerous and terrible situations. Alan finds himself once again facing an evil man who wants to manipulate and control the lives of others. Even though he has lost Martin, the effects of his brother's actions continue to haunt the Laurent family. Alan knows he must act now, or Phyllis and Sharon will fall into the hands of evil with no one to save them. This fight is not only to save two women, but also for Alan to face himself and the past fears he has tried to forget. When Alan and Tracy realize that Phyllis and Sharon are in danger, they immediately set out to rescue them from their captors. Alan, with his determination and courage, cannot stand to see innocent people hurt anymore. He and Tracy face great challenges when they have to infiltrate the abandoned psychiatric facility where Martin once conducted crazy psychological experiments. The rescue is not easy, and while Alan has to face his own fears and the ghosts of Martin, he still cannot stop thinking about the sacrifices he must make to protect the people he loves. The tension increases as Alan has to confront people he once trusted and dangers he never imagined. The relationship between Alan and Tracy, despite many hardships, is a strong foundation for them to fight against the threats. The events of the past cannot be easily forgotten, but Alan and Tracy's love and courage will be the strength to overcome all difficulties. Will Alan be able to protect the people he loves and overcome Martin's ghost? The answer will only be revealed in the next episodes, when all the secrets and dangers never stop haunting the Laurent family. Subscribe to our channel to update the latest news on our channel. Alan Laurent's life has always been a complicated series of events, but the events that followed the death of his brother Martin sent things spiraling into irreversible turmoil. The unthinkable, the fractured relationships, and the psychological fallout have made this story one of the most dramatic and haunting in the world of the young and the restless. After Martin's death, a terrifying shift occurred in Alan's mind, forcing him to confront not only the pain of loss, but also the split within himself. Here is the surprising story of Alan, Martin, and the psychological trauma they carry with them. It all began in a chaotic moment, when Alan and Martin were caught in a tense struggle. The twins were thrown into a dangerous situation when they both fell from a balcony, and only one survived. When things settled down, Martin was found dead, but questions about his death began to arise. One theory was, did Martin take control and impersonate Alan? Everyone suspected that Alan might have been killed in the struggle, and Martin, with his elaborate schemes, took over his life. However, these theories were not supported by solid evidence. When the two brothers were falling from the balcony, there was no evidence that Martin had changed clothes with Alan before they landed. In fact, it was impossible for them to change clothes while in the air. The remaining question was, did Alan really die and Martin continued to live under his guise, or did something else happen that no one knew about? Although no one could answer the above question with certainty, it was undeniable that Martin's death caused Alan great pain. The pain came not only from losing his twin brother but also from deep regret for what had happened. Alan felt guilty for not being able to help Martin escape the suffering he had gone through. In his mind, leaving Martin's body lying on the street without being able to do anything to help only added to his guilt. The sight of Martin's body left on the street was a haunting image not only for Alan but also for those around him. Alan could not stay with Martin's body for long, because its presence was a reminder of the loss and the wrong decisions that he could not change. Alan's mind began to collapse, as thoughts of his helplessness, of what he had lost and what could have been, continuously swirled in his mind. Something strange happened in Alan's mind. The pain was too great and the deep hurt made Alan unable to accept Martin's death. Instead of facing the truth, Alan's mind sought to deny it. He tried to find a way to let Martin continue to live, but not in his original form, but in a different version, a version that he could control, a version that could survive without having to face death. In this way, Alan began to transform himself into Martin in his mind, blurring the line between the two people who were so similar. The dissociation in Alan's mind became more and more serious. He began to believe that he was not only Alan, but also Martin, a different version of himself. This led to strange actions and confusing decisions. In a moment when he could not distinguish the line between reality and illusion, Alan was no longer himself. He not only continued to live in the shadow of Martin, but also became the person who had been his brother. Alan's memories, emotions, and even actions seemed to bear the imprint of Martin. He begins to do things that Martin would have done if he were still alive, and one of those actions is kidnapping Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. At this point, Alan, in his dissociative state, not only continues to live, but also repeats the actions that Martin once did. One of the most terrifying decisions is when he kidnaps Sharon and Phyllis and holds them captive in an abandoned psychiatric facility. This is a bizarre psychological experiment that Alan decides to carry out. These women, who were once people he loved and trusted, are now hostages in a psychological game that Alan cannot escape. The relationship between Alan and Sharon, as well as Alan and Phyllis, is turned upside down in the spiral of dissociation. The actions Alan takes are no longer those of a man seeking to free himself, but of a man who has accepted the existence of another version of himself, a version he cannot deny, even though the truth of Martin's death remains a haunting specter.